What I want to look at are 3 reasons why, as women, we want to be unhappy. And the first reason that we want to be unhappy as women is that we are control freaks. And being unhappy is something that we can control. How does that work? The experience we have had of being happy is so fleeting that we can't maintain it or hold on to it. It's not something we can control. And the reason our experience of being happy has been so fleeting is that in our humanness, we look for our happiness externally. And when I talk about happiness in this way, or the things we think are going to bring us meaning and purpose, that are going to fulfill us in our life, and I teach that as something called external value. Looking for our sense of value, looking for our sense of meaning and purpose externally in different people and relationships and our job and our different roles and responsibilities in life. And we check the boxes of the things we think will make us happy. Check the box of getting married, having children, having a career, having the financial stability that we want, even being on a spiritual journey or a seeking journey. Thinking those things will make us happy. All the while, we've all heard 100 different ways that no one and no thing can make you happy. That happiness is something that we get within ourselves. The problem is we've never been taught how to do that. When we seek our happiness and external value, the things that we think will make us feel good, give us that meaning and purpose and sense of fulfillment, that is where we are like a bucket with holes in it. And those things might make us feel good for a little while, and then they leak right out. And then that emptiness and that void within us gets exposed again. And we look for the next thing to check off the box that we think will make us happy. In that experience, our sense of being happy, again, is very fleeting, is very temporary, and very short-lived. We can't control it. Being unhappy is something that we can control. We know how to create our unhappiness. We create chaos and drama in our lives. We feel sorry for ourselves and play the martyr and feel poor me. As women, we are very aware of how we sabotage ourselves and sabotage any sense of fulfillment or happiness in life. We are scared of failure, and in that constantly then sabotage ourselves to find ways to fail and give up. We don't keep our word to ourselves and to others. We don't follow through. We know the very ways to keep ourselves unhappy, which gives us a sense of control. And that's where that control freak comes in. We don't feel we can control being happy because we've always searched for it in the wrong places outside of us, and we can't control that. But we certainly can control being unhappy and know exactly what to do to keep ourselves in that perpetual state of thinking there is something wrong with us, always having something to work on, and then constantly searching and seeking for the answers to ourselves and our lives, which keeps us in a place of feeling bad about ourselves, having an unhealthy relationship with ourselves, which, how I define, is the experience of being unhappy. This leads to the second reason why, as women, we want to be unhappy. Number 2, being unhappy is a comfort zone. And that we create, just as humans, we create comfort zones as a protective mechanism to protect us from our belief that life is unknown and uncertain. Creating those comfort zones are not actually comfortable in life. They actually make us very uncomfortable because we are hiding and playing small from life. And in living in our comfort zone, we are also living in camp victim, because inside our comfort zones, we believe that the challenging experiences that we have, the struggles we have in life are happening to us, and they are being done to us. So we have to create a protective mechanism from life And that comes from a place of being a victim. So the comfort zones are created so that we can be in control of ourselves because we feel so out of control with the unknowns and uncertainties of life. So our comfort zones protect us from having to experience the unknown. And so we stay hiding in those comfort zones, and the comfort zones actually make us feel small, unsafe, fearful, stuck, unfulfilled, and lost. Unhappiness for us as women is just another comfort zone. It's a place that we know, like from the first reason, we know how to create our unhappiness, so it becomes what we know and what we feel safe in, even though it's the very thing keeping us stuck and keeping us away from life. When I saw this in myself and how I was keeping myself unhappy as a comfort zone, as a way to feel some sense of control in my life, I began to realize why I was so bored. As women, we get really bored with ourselves and really bored with our lives, which is actually what we project onto our husbands as good men, as we think they're boring, they're predictable, they have no life. When really that's the experience of ourselves hiding inside of our comfort zone of being unhappy, that it's really kind of boring. That we keep ourselves there and we keep ourselves mired in problems and mired in our brokenness, needing to go to therapy, read the books, do all these things to work on ourselves. That's a very small, boring life because we're keeping ourselves away from ourselves. And so I just think that's an interesting thing to realize about living in a comfort zone and why as women we're bored and bored with ourselves. I want women to know that life and marriage and yourself are so much more fun and stimulating when you live and can't take responsibility, that you are creating the experience of yourself and your life, and you get out of your comfort zone and run into life, the very life that you have. It is so much more fun to have a healthy relationship with yourself, to take responsibility for your life and let go of living in a constant state of being miserable, which is what you're perpetuating, reading the books and going to therapy. We're just perpetuating our victim story, which leads us to the third reason why as women we want to be unhappy. Number 3, we want to be unhappy because it aligns with our victim story. We all have a victim story as humans, just in general. We have a victim story of what our life has been, what the circumstances have been that have led to the experience we have of ourselves in our life. As women, in our victim story, we've been building it our whole lives. It is the epitome of a comfort zone, is our victim story. And for women, our victim story creates our wall that we use to push our husband away, to push ourselves away, to push others away, so that we can protect ourselves from life. Because we're pain avoiders and we do not want to experience the emotional pain of life that is just inherent in the ups and downs and challenges. So we hide inside of our victim story. And our victim story, that's part of why we go to therapy for years, is that we get validated for our victim story in therapy. And it keeps it intact. It keeps it intact. So to be happy and actually resolve our issues and problems, to feel good about ourselves, to be emotionally stable and have a healthy relationship with ourselves, that would be completely incongruent with our victim stories. I can't be happy and feel good about myself and my life and know how to do life and hold on to my victim story at the same time. They do not go together. That was one of the first things that I had to work on, is letting go of my victim story and realizing when I started this path, I was 30 years old. I'm 40 now. When I was 30 years old and I met my mentor and he helped me see I was the problem, that was one of the first questions he asked me was, how old are you? I'm like, 30. He's like, yeah, you are where you are in your life because of you. It's not your parents, it's not your upbringing, it's not your husband, it's not your past relationships with men. It's you. And that was a big wake-up call for me. And it was the very thing that set me free, to be happy and have a healthy relationship with myself, to actually get where I wanted to be, or told myself I wanted to be, I had to let go of my victim story. That being happy and having a handle on life is incongruent with having a victim story of poor me and what's happened to me in my life, that I am such a mess.